Hi everyone, welcome back to SGDA Toon Game Showcase. Sorry about that video, we're adjusting that, it kind of just pops in by itself here. I'm Jason, again, SGDA's president, and Nuge and Mencos, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Definitely. Hi, this is Anuj. I'm Anuj's webmaster. I'm SGDA's webmaster and the host of the Student Games panel or Student Games Showcase from yesterday and the panels from today. Magna, if you'd like to go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Magna. I was today's host for a lot of the showcases, and yesterday I was the host for the panels. So we did a switcheroo, and now we're in one showcase section. But would you like to introduce yourself and talk about Pitaya?
Yeah, so I'm Hunter Drummond. I am one of 8 devs for Pitaya. I just graduated from UCI, so yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, while this gameplay video rolls, why don't you tell us a little bit about how the game got started, what the development story is, all the juicy details.
Okie dokie. Well, the game started as a animation test, just starting with the main character. Just kind of like making a character look cool. Started with one of our team members, Avery, was the main programmer. I was the main designer. And then we brought on a 3D artist named Zoi. And then we kind of built up the game from there. Started in Unreal. The goal for the game was to make it not look like it was made in Unreal, which is kind of like the team's biggest gripe with games nowadays. I don't know if you guys seen Borderlands 4. That doesn't look like Borderlands. So basically we want to make a game that looks like it was not made in Unreal, but using Unreal's pipelines, because Unreal is very fun to use. So started off making like a good prototype, filled out the team. We had more audio, more engineer, brought in Matt for UI engineer stuff. The goal of the game is kind of make it a hack and slash cooking game, basically. So you go into the world, you collect things, and then you go back to the chef and he'll give you like unlocks and skills. One of the like big things that have changed over time is how the health bar and the hunger works. So you ate a fruit and that cursed you to be forever hungry, and we needed a way to showcase this off like in mechanics. And the way we did it at first was we like Yakuza, we had like 3 meters. And as you got hungrier, those meters filled up and you could do different things, different meters. But it became very like an obtuse system. It wasn't very elegant. It was very like, I mash button, I do good. So we kind of tuned that down. We're like, okay, we don't need that many bars. The game's pretty cartoonish. So we brought it down to like a health bar and a super bar. And that was pretty fun. But one of the issues with that is we wanted to make you not hoard your bar, which is like a very big concept in like fighting games where you're just like,
yes.
You just want to hoard it for as long as possible. I really did not want that. So after like quite a bit of time, actually like 6 months in development, we changed it so that your health bar is your meter. So as you use your special attacks, you eat the enemies and then you get health back. And then attacking itself actually lowers your health. So you can just straight up die if you just keep attacking without using your specials. So we're kind of forcing you to not hoard your meter. And I think now we're almost exactly a year into development, and we are releasing on Steam. Pitaya, you can wishlist now. Yay!
Let me go ahead and get that. The Steam page is live, I imagine?
Yeah. The wishlist is live.
Go ahead and put that in our chat.
Hopefully, we can have the game out by end of July. Just like putting up finishes. I like basically just got the Steam page up like a few weeks ago, so like it's basically like the bare bones, kind of going through that process for the first time, but it's very fun.
Gotcha.
Fun is a way to describe it. I did that for my own capstone, and I was like, what do you mean, like these dimensions? Also,
okay, the dimensions are crazy, but that's a difference.
Also, I understand what you mean about the Unreal look. I was the Kingdom Hearts fan, and I'm more in the the difference between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. It's like,
yup.
You know The funny thing is that, so I did, for context, is that in my undergrad, I did a game art degree where they primarily taught through Unreal. And one of the big things that they told us was that stylized is so much harder on Unreal.
Yep.
Checks out, because now like all the games that are meant to be kind of stylized are now kind of turning out being more like realistic. And it's kind of just like,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to kind of make that extra effort.
And it's just like, as a producer, I'm like, is that worth it? We don't have the time for this.
Yeah,
as much as I'd like to do this.
Awesome. I guess moving on to another question. Let me see the question sheet. In terms of like the game's development as a whole, like how has it changed over time since you're now about to release it on Steam versus how it got started?
Yeah, so it started as, it technically started as like a student class project. So it's very like, we needed this thing by this time, very like regimented. But it started as like an animation project. So it was more just like, get this animation done by this time. Whereas we brought it into our like senior thesis capstone thing, where it kind of was just like, you need to hit these milestones. So then the game kind of shifted to, we need this done by this time. And then now that it's kind of like outside of class, outside of school, it's a lot more freeform, kind of just like a lot of self-led things. Kind of have to create the milestones ourselves and create like what we want to get done without like all the class structure. So it's definitely switched to kind of become from like regimented to like more freeform.
Gotcha.
Awesome. One thing that I really like, and I appreciate, like I hear you talking about like fighting games, spending meter, and I'm like, I'm guilty of that. I will spend my meter on the last round if I have a guarantee that this combo will kill, and sometimes it doesn't, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll die in this corner. What are some elements of the future development in terms of what do you want to do, what do you want to add, or maybe kind of take away? Even what are you looking at right now?
So the biggest thing, there's no tutorial. Even though it is,
I did find it quite difficult.
Like if you're like, oh, it's simple once you get to go, but like even just knowing that you die from your basic attacks, if you don't know that, you probably died like 8 million times.
I was just like, okay, that's draining my meter, or that's draining this like stomach thing. I'm gonna go ahead and not basic attack unless I absolutely have to. But also I play a lot of games, so I was like, the design language was like made sense for me.
Yeah, it's like baked in. Whereas like I need a tutorial to kind of like teach players how to do it, kind of like help their like thinking catch up to that. I don't think it'll be that hard. It's just I have to actually make it, and we need to make it as a team, kind of fill it out, and then a lot of like polish stuff as well.
You know what they say about the tutorial being the last thing that you make is that there's a reason for that. It's because imagine if tutorialized there being 3 bars, the player's like,
oh,
where's the third?
There they are. Awesome. Yeah, I totally understand the tutorial thing too. They're both. It's like one of the hardest things to make in games, to be honest.
I don't want the tutorial to be too wordy. I was playing Claire Obscura, or the Expedition 33. I think the tutorials are kind of bad. It basically just puts up an entire box of text, and it's like, you better read this.
And there's one tutorial later on where they teach a mechanic in a fight, and I'm like, this is cool. Yeah. Would have liked it. This was done earlier, and a lot of the tutorials were like kind of more basic stuff that I was like, X. I know how turn-based games work.
So it's like oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to mention one of the annoying things about Clay Obscure in that regard was that they show tutorials for the status effects in the same fashion. So it's like I immediately accidentally exit out of those during a fight.
The game.
I'm like, what did that do?
Yeah.
Why am I not getting SP? What's happening? Hang on a minute. Why is my target exhausted? Really
focusing on that for the tutorial will help a lot. And just kind of like practicing the skill to make that a good tutorial from the goals.
Absolutely.
It's really hard.
So I guess kind of an interesting question is that Because you've already mentioned a couple RPGs, and even in fighting games as well. Like, are you a particularly big fan of RPGs? And I guess what do you like the most about them that you wanted to put into Pitaya?
One of the funny beginnings of the project was it was a project that was supposed to basically give me the experience of working on a game like God of War, but I don't have the team to make all the art. So the goal was I love RPGs, I love God of War. Let's make God of War but silly. So I wanted to bring in kind of the you feel really cool even if you don't exactly know what you're doing, and there's a lot of states and stuff. So the enemies in the game actually have 15 different states they can enter, so you can combo them better. You can juggle them up in the air, you can knock them down, you can throw them back. So that's my favorite thing in RPGs is kind of different states for the enemies that you can kind of play with your enemies, kind of like a sandbox.
Gotcha.
And one of the most kind of not frustrating, but one of the most unfortunate things about games like Persona is that often status effects and stuff don't work on bosses, and you're I don't know how to learn this muscle memory for them. It's why I liked that of Clair Obscur, and I think there's another game. Shin Megami Tensei is really good about just everything you can do to the bosses, they can do to you, but that lasts the whole game. So I've seen people be I've gotten stuck in a boss and how do I beat this? And then the player's yeah, you just nullify all their attacks and they can't do anything. And I'm oh.
Yeah.
I did not realize you could do that. I think we are slowly coming up on time. So as we come up, I'd like to ask one more question, then we'll ask about then we'll ask you just for some shout outs. But how did you come up with with the hunger mechanic? How did that come about, and how many iterations did it take you?
Yeah, so the hunger mechanic came about with just we wanted a kind of finisher system. So it started off as a finisher kind of thing, which is the Yakuza spamming it. It was kind of just a means to an end. Didn't really know if it was supposed to be a finisher or a move. And you can still kind of see that in the game right now. We slowly move towards kind of just a move that you should be using a lot of the time. You can change it out. But it started off as kind of a finisher. You can eat them with all the bars. And then we switched to kind of more move-based, so you get a lot more of the moves. I would say probably it went through around 10 iterations, but 3 big pivots, which is the 3 bars to 2 bars to 1 bar, as we slowly got closer to what we wanted.
That makes sense. With that, we are just about coming up on time. So is there anybody that you'd like to shout out, give special thanks to, anything like that? Feel free.
Yes. Okay. I want to first thank the team. So that's Ed on sound effects, Nelson on being our composer. We got Matt on UI. We got Avery on coding. We got Mia on 2D art. We got Tim on animations. We have Zoe on 3D art, as well as Jason, one of our mentors, and Lee, one of our other mentors, as well as 2 of our other friends that were kind of just lurkers in our server, Duncan and Jan. Have to shout out those people as well.
Awesome. This was Pitaya. Thank you so much for coming out and speaking with us today. We'll be uploading the VOD of this sometime by the end of next week. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. We have one more game up for the Student Showcase, so we'll see you guys soon.
Oh wait, before we end, you can play Pitaya on the its.io page under SGDA, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I put the Steam page Yes, I put the Steam page in our chat. It'll be in the description, so that way wishlist it. Helps with visibility in more ways than you know.
Yeah, and then thank you, Hunter, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.